Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2021 MG6 XPower. Now this is part of the second generation of the MG6, with production starting in 2016, and as of the release of this video is continuing to this day. And yeah, this is a front wheel drive plug-in hybrid saloon car, which might not sound like the most exciting thing ever, but it is the most powerful version of the MG6, and easily one of the most powerful combustion engine powered Chinese cars going at the moment. So yeah, this is a really rather interesting car, to be honest, because like I said, MG up until now, with under the ownership of the Chinese manufacturer that is running them at the moment, hasn't really made a performance MG up until now. And yeah, this is hopefully the first of many, because it's really rather impressive. Not only does it look great, even though it looks a little bit Mercedes-ish at the front, it still looks great overall. It's got plenty of room inside, as you can see, and it all fit and finish all looks really rather nice. You've got a touch screen, you've got nice buttons for the stuff that you really need buttons for, and yeah, plenty of space to look out of, and yeah, looks very quite luxurious, to be honest. Especially when you consider in China, at least, it costs around $30,000 US to buy, which isn't all that much. And yeah, got plenty of room in the rear. I really like the green accent around the interior there. And yeah, it's got a really rather big boot, which is also a hatchback as well. So yeah, really rather nicely done overall. But not only do you have all of the sporting paraphernalia on this, quad exhaust, nice big wheels, a big rear spoiler, you know, massive intakes at the front and all that lot, but you also have a lot of power, as from its 1.5 litre turbocharged inline 4 engine, which is coupled to an electric motor which is powered by a 9.1 kilowatt hour battery, you get 300 horsepower and 354 pounds-feet of torque, which is quite a lot. Obviously it's not as much as, say, its competitors, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, hell, even Jaguar and Lexus, but for what is a front wheel drive car which has huge practicality, it is a really good amount of power. And like I said, this is MG's first proper powerful car since they were taken over by the Chinese manufacturer that owns it now. So yeah, really powerful, looks great, has plenty of interior room, and obviously it's quite versatile, because not only does it have front wheel drive, which means you've got more space in the interior as you've got no drive line passing through the car, but you've also got that electric motor which obviously can be used on its own, so you can get more economy out of it. But in terms of performance aspect, obviously it's providing more horsepower, more torque, and will plug in the gaps between the rev changes, and any time the combustion engine is having a little bit of a laggy moment, especially with the turbocharger as well. So yeah, overall an impressive car to look at, and an impressive car in terms of to live with, I guarantee, because yeah, it's going to be economical and it's going to be practical to live with while still having all of the sportiness that goes with it. So yeah, let's get out to the open road and see what this car can do. Right, so it is raining a little bit, which won't help this front wheel drive car off the line, but it still should be pretty quick on this drag strip. So let's see how quick it will go before we hit the speed camera. So yeah, this is the first time MG have used the XPower name since the SVR, which was way back in the mid-2000s. And even though both of the cars weigh the same, weirdly enough, at 3,395 pounds, they couldn't be any more different, as we'll talk about soon. So yeah, 120 mile an hour across the speed camera there, which is pretty good. Obviously it's not the most powerful car in the world, and even though it's quite lightweight compared to a lot of saloon cars, it obviously isn't the lightest car going. So yeah, but still, like I said, this couldn't be any more different from the XPower SVR, which it shares part of its name with, as this is front wheel drive, that was rear wheel drive. This has a 6-speed gearbox, that only had I think a 4-speed automatic gearbox. This is obviously a hybrid, that wasn't. This has a small engine that had a large Mustang V8, and yeah, but despite that car having 85 extra horsepower and something like 21 pounds-feet of extra torque or thereabouts, it's yeah, this is definitely a quicker car. Not just in terms of handling, but also in terms of acceleration as well. So yeah, we're in low-end A-class, and yeah, as you can see by the stats, they're all fairly good. The speed, handling and braking are all solid. Launch is decent, definitely better than the Lynk & Co saloon car that is also from China. Acceleration, although it's on the low side with the start, it's actually better in terms of the raw numbers, so yeah, that's not something to be overly concerned about. So yeah, you can definitely compare this against the Lynk & Co, because that is also a powerful sports saloon, but this is way more powerful, not just in terms of torque but also horsepower, and yeah, as a result it is quicker as well. So let's hear the car first a bit more and then we'll talk about it in detail. So yeah, I actually like the sound of this car, weirdly enough. I wasn't expecting to say that about this car, to be honest, because I figured with it having a lot of power and a turbocharger and a small engine and the electric, you know, powertrain as well on top of that, that the engine might sound a bit dull, because it's, yeah, the rest of it is making up for the small amount of cubic capacity and the fact it's only 4 cylinders, but yeah, it actually sounds pretty sporty, to be honest, and yeah, it backs that up with really good acceleration times for a car of this type, at 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds, 0 to 100 in 11.8 seconds, and it goes to a top speed of 168 miles an hour, which is, yeah, bang on the money, quite frankly, and that's quicker in terms of acceleration than the SVR. Nearly 0.3 of a second quicker to 60 than that car, despite that having way more power and torque and a bigger engine. It's also more than 2 seconds quicker to 100, and yeah, it's only about 4 miles an hour down at the top end, so yeah, all very good. Now, I love that SVR, but it's definitely a car that has its flaws, whereas this, even though I also love it, it's definitely a lot less unique and a lot less, you know, charming in some regards. I do love to drive it. I've driven it quite a lot since I've got it on the festival playlist, but yeah, it's not as charming as, say, the SVR, but it's definitely the better car, as yeah, it's got really good handling. Even though it's front wheel drive and has all of that power, it's not got as much understeer as you'd expect. No, it's no Honda Civic Type R or anything like that, but considering the amount of power it's got and the huge amount of torque that it got going with it as well, it's, yeah, could handle a lot worse than this. And yeah, also sounds good, looks good, practical, and yeah, really rather quite a different kind of vehicle really for saloon cars of this type. A lot of super saloon cars have, you know, huge engines, huge amounts of power and all of that lot, but they very rarely are on the cheaper side of things or as practical as this, whereas yeah, this is cheap and practical as well as being fast and fun to drive. So yeah, really good car, really great first showing from MG in terms of their, you know, being newly owned and being their first powerful car since they've been took over. So yeah, majorly impressive. Really hope they go further with this kind of thing, because yeah, MG has great potential with all the money in the world basically from its Chinese owner. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what else they come out with. I hope they do a hot hatchback based on the MG3, because that would be really good, because that is a really rather nice small lightweight car. And yeah, you can get this in the festival playlist. You have to get 80 points in the series overall, so if you didn't get all that many points in the previous season, then you might well struggle to get it in this season, but if you accumulate enough points over the 4 seasons, then you should hopefully get it at the end of the series. So yeah, and it's well worth getting, because it's a really fun car, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it does in racing online as well. So yeah, nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.